Hey there. I decided that I would recreate the Amiga that I had when I was a young man. When I was about 20 years old, about 1990, when I got my first credit card, the first thing I did with it was buy an Amiga 2000. It was a basic Amiga 2000. It was basically a 500. I mean, all it had was a floppy drive and a big case. It didn't have any, I have a GoTech and everything here, but it didn't have any of that, any extra drives or anything. And it was $2,000 for the Amiga 2000. And then I also bought a 1084S, and that was another $300. So for $2,300 in 1990, about 1990, I spent for an Amiga 2000. And then shortly after, I think my first upgrade was to get a second internal floppy. And then when I had paid down my credit card enough, I immediately went out and re-maxed it out by getting a Accelerator board for it. And then I did that again and bought a very rare, strange GVP. It's like a toaster wannabe card that went into the video slot. It did give me VGA out, which was nice. But unfortunately, it wasn't as fully featured as the toaster, but it was supposed to compete with it, but they just didn't have as many things. Among them, it didn't come with a copy of Lightwave. It came with, I don't think it came with any 3D software. Anyway, so I have, let me see, I haven't gotten all the screws out of here, but obviously there are newer upgrades that can be made, and obviously a GoTech is one of the ones I did. Also, obviously you want to have some kind of larger storage capacity, so I really like the SCSI to SD, so I put one of those in here too, and it's actually in here with the GoTech. I made 3D printed my own special faceplate housing where the GoTech is on the bottom and the SCSI to SD is upside down and facing this way, so that I can actually get the SD mini SD card out of there and plug USB in. And there's actually the status slide. I put a little hole for that, but frankly it seems to shine everywhere anyway. So let's take a look inside. Oh, I need to, no, we're good. Okay. A couple of other goodies that I had as well. I don't have the card anymore. I mean, I didn't get another replacement card. I don't know if I've ever seen one of those. I don't even remember what it was called. But I didn't feel the need to get a toaster or anything. And I don't have to worry about VGA out because I have the adapters that I sell on eBay for putting the 15 kilohertz DB23 signal out to a VGA monitor. So anyway, and this drive here is actually an IBM drive that I modified to work on Amiga, an IBM high density drive, because the drive that was in this Amiga when I bought it was no good. Okay, so I'm going handheld here because we have to, do a flyover or whatever. So I got the exact same Accelerator card that I had. I had a, this is a GVP GeForce 68030 Accelerator card that I had a kill switch. I could turn it off, and then it also has the hard drive controller built into it, and so when I turn the switch off, it turns off the GVP board, its memory, and the whatever hard drive you have plugged in. In this case, it's an SCSI to SD. And this one's a little better than the one I had. This one is at 25 megahertz, which is the same, but this one has like, I think it's 24 megabytes of RAM on it. I only had like maybe 8 or something like that. Oh, and then there's a couple other things. I equipped the motherboard with a Super Denise and 2.04 ROMs. If you combine those two in an OCS Amiga, it becomes an ECS, Enhanced Chipset. OCS is old chipset or original chipset. ECS gives it advanced chipset. And one of the main features of that is that when you boot up, you can hold both mouse buttons down. Now, if you have just the 2.04 ROMs and a regular Denise, you only get boot options. But if you have a Super Denise in there, you can change the boot options and display options, including switching between PAL and NTSC when you first boot the computer. That was absolutely essential for me because I wanted to be able to boot into PAL without using software like Degrader or whatever. And then the only other thing that was, then also I got, I think it was a Mega Chip, a 2 meg chip RAM upgrade. Also on the Kickstart, forgot to mention, on this, and on my previous one I had a Kickstart switcher. My original Amiga had a switch that I had on back where I could flip it back and forth. This one, I only found a software enabled one where you just hold down the control Amiga for 3 seconds, I think, and it'll revert to the other ROMs. And I have 1.3 and 2.04 that I switch back and forth from. Is there anything else besides that? I don't think so. And here is the case that I made to fit the GoTech in and the SCSI to SD. And like I said, it's just the GoTech is just sitting. I don't think, yeah, it's not the original case at all. I did paint it to match, sort of, the Amiga. Got close, and it works pretty well. It gives me access to the SD card and to the USB if I need to reconfigure the SCSI to SD's drive sizes. And yeah, it's great. I have to get into this anyway because I want to change the software. I made a little label. I don't know if that's actually for the GoTech, or I think it's for the GoTech. Yeah. Oh, looks like I did use the pin header output for the hard drive light externally. This is kind of stiff. There we go. Now it's nice and loose. Yep. So basically that's it. Just goes upside down and just make sure the holes are in the right place for access. Worked out pretty well. Anyway, this was screwed down too. I've already removed the screws. There's 4 screws in back, 2 in front. One way to access the motherboard, or really these drives, because you have to take this whole carriage out with the power supply and the drives in order to access the screws to remove anything from this carriage. So let's see, lift up the front, I believe, move to the side, unplug the power from the motherboard. Got it now. And the floppy drive cable is the only other one that's going to catch me here. Yeah. Alright, there we go. So there are our motherboard mods. We've got a Kickstart switcher here. I 3D printed a little cover to cover it so it wouldn't short against anything. It just came with a circuit board, and I think the intention was to double-sided tape it to the hard drive power supply carriage, but obviously that doing it like this is a much more convenient way. And there's my Mega chip RAM module. Yeah, so you've got, and I think this is Gary, and Gary has a couple of jumpers, one from the Kickstart switcher and one from the Mega chip, both required to get those two items working. Yeah, this is a DKB Kickstart switcher. Yeah. Anyway, and then the only other mod I made to the motherboard is to put an actual lithium battery, removable lithium battery, in instead of the leaky deaky supercapacitor or whatever it was that was in there. Get a good look at that GVP board there too. 68030 chip, and the math code processor, the 68882 math code processor that came with it as well. Absolutely essential for back in the day when I was using 3D modeling programs. Sped up the rendering process a bit. And that's it.